What's up, guys? We have a lot to talk about this past weekend and really what's been going on up until this point this week. To start off, I'm going to kind of catch you up on what's been going on. And we're going to start off with international soccer. Lionel Messi wins his 6th Ballon d'Or, his first since 2015, putting him one ahead of Cristiano Ronaldo, who has 5. Congrats to him. Now moving over into the ring, we have Andy Ruiz Jr. and the Anthony Joshua fight coming up this Saturday. Ruiz, despite him winning and being the champion last time around, he is an underdog. Switching over to American soil and American football, we have the college football top 25 rankings that came out, the playoff top 25 rankings, and it reads as so. Ohio State number 1, LSU number 2, Clemson, Georgia, Utah, Oklahoma at 6, Baylor at 7, Wisconsin, Florida, and Penn State at 10. Now falling in at 11 and 12 is Auburn and Alabama, who had a thriller this past weekend with Auburn beating Alabama 48 to 45, not 84, 48 to 45 in their yearly Iron Bowl, and it was truly the game of the weekend, at least in the college football world. And following up on that, I want to talk about another game real quick that was also another not really great game, but a notable game. Ohio State absolutely smothers Michigan 56 to 27, solidifying their number 1 overall ranking in the country above LSU, and also putting Harbaugh 0-5 against Ohio State in his tenure. Now that's everything for the college football world. Moving over to the professional world, we have the Ravens beating the 49ers 20-17. It was a great game, definitely the game of the weekend until, I believe, Sunday Night Football, where the Texans took on the Patriots at home and beat them 28 to 22, bringing up a lot of questions about the Patriots' durability and really their ability to go deep in the playoffs without Brady having help. We saw a lot of videos on the sideline of Brady complaining to his receivers for not getting open and the coverage just being too strong really every play or every down, it seemed like. That's everything to catch you up on. Now we're going to talk about some of the bigger topics that are going on really in the world of sports right now. We're going to start off with breaking news today that because Daniel Jones is in a walking boot because of a high ankle sprain, Coach Pat Shurmur says it's highly likely that Eli will start Monday night against the Eagles. So it's going to be really just kind of fun to watch him Monday night, even though the team really sucks. To be honest, they aren't there. They're still in the rebuilding process, but it's going to be fun to watch the future Hall of Famer go out there and kind of just throw it around. You know, he doesn't have anything to prove. He could throw 5 interceptions and sure, we'd criticize him for a couple of weeks, but then he'd likely retire at the end of this season. And then, you know, we'd praise him and look back on his career and his 2 Super Bowls and watch him walk into the Hall of Fame. So this is a great opportunity for Eli Manning to kind of just let it loose. So that'll definitely be interesting to watch. Now, a lot of what I'm going to talk about is in the football sphere, and the biggest topic of today is the Ron Rivera firing. Now, Ron Rivera was 76, 63, and 1 in the regular season and 3 and 4 in the postseason, with 1 trip to the Super Bowl, which he didn't win in 2015. The Panthers are currently 5-7, and they fired their coach, who has been really, as I see it, just a pillar of stability in the Panthers franchise for the better part of this decade. And it's interesting to see, as the new owner who inherited Rivera and his staff 18 months ago make this move. And really, the first thing that comes to mind is, we'll talk about Jason Garrett and the Cowboys drama, but it's interesting to see how the Panthers are quick to change on a great coach. And like I said, a pillar of stability that has been in the Panthers franchise. And then you look over in the Cowboys organization, and they're still kind of just, you know, they said that there was reports that Jerry was going to fire Jason if they lost on Thanksgiving Day. They lost. And then he came back and said, oh, no, I'm not going to fire him. You know, we're going to evaluate the season. And then, you know, there's reports or analysts are saying if they win out, that Jason could likely keep his job. And it's really interesting to kind of see the dynamic between the two teams. Nobody really saw this coming, I don't think. I mean, they've been struggling, and they lost to the 3-9 Washington Redskins last week. But I can't say this is a terrible team. I mean, they're below 500 for sure. But and this is the big if game, if you put Cam Newton in the game and he's healthy, if he's even close to his MVP form. And then you have Christian McCaffrey, and DJ Moore is a decent weapon on the outside. And you have, Greg Olsen, who is kind of the Jason Witten of the Panthers. You really have a pretty solid offense. Now, as far as great offense or Super Bowl offense, that's up for debate, definitely. But a team that made a trip to the Super Bowl 4 years ago, it's really it's interesting to see how things can fall apart so quickly. And I understand people want to change things when new ownership comes in. They want to move things around and get their own people in there. But it's I look at it and I wonder, who are they going to put in there that is going to be as stable, be as experienced, not only long-term experience, like length in the league, but also depth, meaning he has that experience of going to the Super Bowl. He has that experience of preparing his team for the playoffs and preparing them for a deep playoff run and being around, an MVP and being around really just great defenses and overall great skill players and backs. And what I'm getting at is the professionalism and again the pillar of stability that Ron Rivera is. It's going to be interesting who they pursue after that. And personally, I don't necessarily agree with this move. It's going to be interesting to watch who the new ownership decides to bring in and run that team, and who he decides to plug and play, not only on the field, but in the business operations side and on the staff side. So I talked about Ron Rivera. We're going to move on to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, we can't help but talk about the Dallas Cowboys because they can't help but stay out of the news. And the mainstream media loves to just gobble this up, and I love to gobble it up too. As a native Texan, I think it's really interesting to kind of always see the team in Arlington or the team in Dallas just consistently stay in the news. And latest, as I kind of ran over in our Ron Rivera discussion, Jason Garrett is on the hot seat, and he has been for quite a while, I believe. I mean, they have their offense, their total offense is number 1 in the league, yet they sit 6-6 with the 3rd easiest record so far in a pitiful NFC East. We just talked about how the Eagles lost to the Dolphins, and then you have the Redskins, who we just talked about. The Panthers lost to, so they're 3-9, and then you have the 2-10 Giants. And this is the Cowboys team that's 6-6 with the number 1 total offense. And really just great studs all over the field, both offensively, defensively, and on special teams. Now, it's interesting how you can see Jerry progress to say, okay, we got to get rid of him, and then just retract it after a certain amount of statements and say, no, he's our guy. He went on a radio show earlier this week and said something to the effect of, or something along the lines of, he's going to find a position somewhere else. He's going to be an NFL coach. And it's hard to say that when he's got an 83-65 record. And if you look at the previous Cowboys teams, they've always had a solid offensive line. Tony Romo was a good quarterback. Des Bryant was a great receiver. They've had good running backs. And behind an offensive line, those running backs look stellar. I said Jason Garrett's record is 83-65. That is .561. Ron Rivera is .546. This is the ratio. So 561 to 546. And Ron Rivera lost his job. Jason Garrett is not too far ahead of Ron Rivera. If they went out, it's a bubbling thought that Jason Garrett could keep his job, which has Cowboy fans throwing their fists in the air upset. But it is a very, very possible outcome at the end of this season. Now, Jason Garrett's record, just to end this segment on, Jason Garrett's playoff record since 2010, taking over in 2010. He only had, I believe, 5 or 8 games in 2010 he took over as he was offensive coordinator and then took over to head coach. He has won 2 playoff games since 2010. As we've run over, DeMarco Murray, Des Bryant, Tony Romo, Dak now, Zeke, Amari. You have all the pieces you could want. And yet he's only won 2 playoff games. Now we're going to switch professional sports over to basketball. I want to give a quick opinion on the Rockets dilemma that is going on, which is a really interesting kind of topic. Now, to give you some background, the Rockets and Spurs played this week, and with about 7:50 left on the clock, the Rockets were up 101-89. James Harden is on a fast break, and he dunks the basketball, and the net kind of whips the ball out to give it almost the look that it bounced out, I guess. It was in real time. I could see how you'd miss that. But again, as a consumer and as a third party, you get all the angles and you get the slow motion and everything. Now, it's interesting because the Rockets are calling for a almost rematch for the last 750 when they were up 13 points, 12 points. It doesn't make any sense to me why you want a rematch over one basket. It's like you're trying to be in the news, but for no reason. You know, refs are going to make mistakes. They're always going to make mistakes. And that's just the nature of the game. If it wasn't this, it was something else. And if they won this game, I don't even think we'd be talking about this. I think it would just be some funny Twitter video that'd be going around, and James Harden would have his hands up, looking around, complaining to the refs. As every player in the NBA does when they don't get it their way because they give it their all. And they're upset when it doesn't go their way, which is totally understandable. But again, the refs are going to make mistakes. And if the Rockets win this game, I don't think we're talking about this. That's everything I have up until now. I'm going to be releasing a video giving you the Sunday spotlight for this coming Sunday. And then on top of that, we are going to be recording our first podcast tomorrow. And it is going to be interesting how that goes, and I will be releasing that again on YouTube, and it's going to be on the website. If you haven't been to the website, please go check that out. We have all of our content posted on there, all the YouTube videos, all the articles, and soon to be all of the podcasts and the story behind Ideal Sports and Entertainment. If you haven't followed me on Twitter, please give me a follow. If you haven't followed us on Instagram, please follow us on Instagram at Ideal Sports Entertainment. Twitter is at Alex DeClaire. And again, check out the website, subscribe to the channel to get updates on when we post videos, and I will see you next time.